January 10, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. There was no economic data today to really move the market. What I saw is just kind of this big gradual rally. And I found this big purple channel later in the day, but it didn't really help. Even if you found it early, maybe you would have found something to potentially see a trade here and maybe a bounce point down here. But I didn't see any setups down there. I mean, maybe if they existed, I would have considered it. They only took a total of one trade today. And despite all this price action and all this movement, I had trouble finding really good, really clean setups. What happened today was there were a lot of setups, second entries, that set up with like one or two ticks to verify the second entry, then they would reverse. So a lot of little bars with bodies that were tiny with big spikes in between. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. So pre-market, it looked like it was just going to be range bound. Let's see. It's hard to really know if it's going to be range bound or if it's going to trend yet. You just have a preliminary range that is, I would say, unconfirmed because you really don't have any touches. You could have tightened the range down to about right here, but I didn't. I just kind of left it big and wide just to see what would happen upon the open and as prices started to move. So prices started to move. It started rallying slightly up from the pre-market, and I was watching carefully to see what would happen right at the top of the pre-market range. It looked like it was kind of respecting it. It broke out, and I was thinking, okay, maybe there's going to be a fail breakout. It consolidates, creates this area of congestion, kind of jumps out, and it follows up this gradual yellow channel. Nothing that I see that I like. Technically, you have a new high here. It's a first entry long. You do have a second entry long here, but this second entry long, it doesn't feel quite right in my opinion, because and then you have a failure here, but here I wouldn't have been thinking to go short because it's been respecting the EMA all this time. I definitely wasn't thinking of going long either, just because it just had the recent high. I'm still wondering if this pre-market high is in play. So I saw it as no real trade. Then it started moving down. It looks like it started to fit this orange channel because it had this trend line that I drew here. Then I just decided to put the other trend line at the bottom, make it an orange channel. So it just started moving down. Nothing that I see particularly appealing. Technically, you have a new high here. It's a first entry long, then you have a second entry long, but this is a bad signal bar to even think about going long. And remember, this purple channel doesn't exist yet because I found it much later. Started bouncing. It started moving up this green channel, so I'm thinking, okay, there's a break of this orange channel. It might have another test of this low, but I'm not that hot on this orange channel yet. So it breaks out and makes one attempt up because it also wants to test the highs here. And this is where I actually see well, I saw it later, but I saw it's a new high. It's a first entry long, second entry long. What I did notice was there was some kind of support here, but this candle is a break of this orange channel. So I'm thinking it's going to make one push down, maybe a second push down. So this push may not have completed yet, but then this break of this green channel is going to make one push up, and it could make a second push up. So there's a little bit of conflicting ideas going on here. So I'm not sure. I wanted a break, below, or excuse me, I wanted to break over the EMA to be sure that it's going to test this high first. Otherwise, I'm not sure if this downtrend is going to be in play. This could be one leg pull back and a matching leg down here. So then it actually flashes up. So this isn't a good signal bar. It just happened to be there, a second entry, but it wasn't clear to me what to do. So it starts moving up, and I'm thinking I might be falling into this yellow channel now because I found the tops first, and it looked like it was working pretty well. And then I drew the bottom. The bottom I didn't trust too much yet. It's just too congested here. It's too many candles side by side. It has an overshoot, comes back down. It looks like the EMA is holding. So I saw a first entry long, pulls back, and then creates this second entry long. So this second entry long, so far, EMA, it looks like it's holding, but this one didn't quite push all the way down to the bottom. And I thought this signal bar was a bit too neutral. I needed it to be more bullish, but if it was bullish, I would still hesitate taking the trade because it's going to come into the localized high. On top of that, depending on how much I trusted this yellow channel, which I wasn't 100% sure it was accurate, was there's an overshoot, so it made two attempts up. So I wasn't sure to trust it yet because overshoot tends to lead to a correction that would touch the other side or, create another overshoot on the bottom. So I had to leave this trade alone. So prices then continue moving up. I drew this green channel, this sub green channel, but I again wasn't really sure about it. I saw this as a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short, pushes up, and it creates a lower high. But here, it looks like the EMA is holding, so it's like a first entry short, second entry short. You could be thinking failed second entry short because it looks like it fails here, creates the failure here, pulls back down, and then closes high. But I was a little leery of this setup. It looks like it's pretty clean and good, but I wasn't sure still if this yellow channel was in play. And I was, starting to get in my own head, having all these conflicting ideas, thinking I might be overthinking this, or obviously my channels aren't drawn very clean or clear. But I was having a hard time making everything fit, or multiple channels fit to look just right. So what happens is it creates this lower high. Unfortunately, when it creates this lower high, it confirms the second entry short, flashes down, and it looks like it's touching right at the pre-market highs. So that's giving me pause. I wasn't sure to take a trade or not, so I left it alone, and it looked like it worked pretty well. Breaks through, and then it just kind of keeps moving down on this green channel. After this break, it made one attempt down to try to test this low. I saw this as a new low. It's a first entry short. Comes up. It's maybe about to create a second entry short, but it does confirm and create the second entry short here. And the second entry short, okay, I'm thinking this looks okay. It looks like it's being rejected by the top of the range. Made one push down, made one attempt down. This could be the second attempt, but it feels so far away from this channel at this point. So I wasn't feeling it. I wanted the failure or the second attempt to be a little bit closer, but it took a little bit of time to dwell. So it does start moving down. I'm thinking, okay, this could be a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Here, the second entry short fails. So there's some kind of micro double bottom support here. And after it pushes up, I'm thinking this could be a new high, first entry long, second entry long. And if prices are still going to come down, EMA is holding, this could be a lower high confirmation of the second entry short. And it has a next key entry point of a new high, first entry long, second entry long. If this next candle fails, then I'm going to jump in. So what happens is it opens here, it starts pushing, and when it finally pushes through this double bottom, I thought, okay, it pushed down, I liked it, so I actually dropped my order right at the lows, and it came back, picked me up, and then closed low. So I was thinking, okay, there's enough room to get back down to here. EMA is kind of pushing things back down. I'm hoping, I was correct in my read, and I was able to get a quick scalp out, but I noticed, if I was going for more points, which I'm pretty sure I would not have, just because I felt there was some kind of, not the range yet, but some kind of support here, and I wanted to make sure I get out before the support. It would look like it would have stopped you out. When prices then continue moving up, it falls into what I think is a range, so I'm looking for any good entries. This unfortunately never comes back down to touch the bottom, so it starts to drift upwards again. Kind of added to some confusion because, as you can see, a lot of these candles have like these small little bodies near the center, so it made, I guess, trading a little bit trickier for me today to read the price action. I mean, I'm sure other people thought it was a pretty easy day, but to me, it was a little bit more trickier. I'm sure it'll come with more experience that it will be more obvious to me. Then prices then continue moving up. It follows on this orange channel going up. And as I pointed out, since the open, a lot of these channels, except for a few of them, they don't feel like they fit quite well. So that added to a little bit of challenge for me to trust my setups and trust my read. So then prices can continue moving up. It breaks out, comes back in to this orange channel, hits a high, and it starts moving back down. I don't see anything particularly that I like. You do have a new low here. It's a first entry short. This is a second entry short. This is a good signal bar. And I think it was a trap because if you did take a short, it would have filled you, went up, taken your stops, and then come right back down. So how was this avoidable? Well, I'm not 100% sure. I was just lucky I didn't take this trade because you do have an overshoot down here. You're thinking you would be counter trend trading because right now the EMA is somewhat showing some strength now. So the only I guess, weakness of this is it's a counter trend trade, but I wouldn't feel too bad if I actually took this trade and lost because it looks like it is following up this orange channel. Had an overshoot down here, so you think it's going to go to the other side. It did reach the other side, and if you took a short thinking, okay, maybe this overshoot won't happen, you get stopped out. But it looks like there's some good reasons to take this trade, and it just happened to not work out. And the only fault would have been the counter trend. Then prices move down, pops around. I do see this setup. It's a new low. It's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. The second entry short here, the second entry short fails. What I don't like about this setup is it's an almost setup. I don't know. I mean, I noticed that it's kept stopping short right here at the 480850. So there's some kind of thing, some kind of resistance right here being respected, but it is making higher lows each time. So which one is going to win out? I'm not 100% sure. So knowing that, I just felt, okay, it's making higher lows every time, but it keeps getting smashed and stopped. Either it's going to break through, it's going to finally fail. So there's not enough information to make me feel confident taking the trade. It breaks out, has an overshoot, comes back down, now creates this higher low potential. So this higher low, it's confirmed here as a higher low now when this bar closes. And I thought, okay, this is also kind of an almost setup, similar to this one, but I don't know if it did, you know, fall short of hitting this high. So I'm a little bit leery of whether it's going to come back down and bounce off of here, or is it going to continue going up? So I decided to wait. If the next candle looks good, maybe I jump on it. But it turns out to be a doji, so you have to still wait. It turns out to be a second doji. So when this second doji prints, I just said, okay, well, stand down. Don't take any trade because this is getting very tricky. There's a huge tug of war. Buyers and sellers all ended and agreed upon the open and close being at the same level. So this is telling me danger, just wait. If I guess, I'd probably guess. And if I got it, it'd just be a lucky guess that I won. And if I lost, then I would have been kicking myself on why I decided to guess. There's better trades out there. This one was a little obscure to me, so I just had to let it go. Looks like it did flash and start moving up. So if you went long, it would have been great. If you decide to go short, thinking it's going to be a failed breakout, maybe move back in, then I could see a reason to do that as well. The prices continue moving up, breaks out of this yellow channel, and it looks like it starts falling into its own gradual channel again. So I drew this orange channel. But I saw this as a new high. It's first entry long, second entry long. EMA could be holding. And that's the first, at the time, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this out, because it really depended on how you drew this orange channel, because I actually had it tighter here originally. So here is the first break of this orange channel. And I thought it's the first break of the orange channel. EMA could be holding because keep in mind, this is what I saw in real time. This one flashes up. I thought, okay, this looks like it might move back into the orange channel. So definitely just sit here. Trigger bar looks good. Wait for a confirmation setup because you might be hitting the resistance. So the prices move and it creates this higher low. Now, again, depending on how you drew it, this higher low, it's a pretty small risk bar. It is bouncing off the EMA. It does confirm the first entry long, second entry long, especially when this, it confirms here for sure, but now there's no room. And I had this drawn originally, but later I dragged it down and drew it this way. So it fits nicely at the top and fits nicely at the bottom. I didn't have this originally. Had I had this originally, then I would have said there's two key entry points. I would have been ready to take this trade. Of course, when this one opens and closes, now it feels much too late because you're already pushing against the high of the day. And if you did try to reduce the risk and put an entry down here, the trade went without you. So unfortunately, this is a possible trade depending on how well you drew your channel. And so unfortunately, I didn't have it drawn this way. It was cutting up slightly tighter. And so as a result, I missed that trade. So it kind of looked like that originally. That's how I had my chart or my channel. So the prices move up. At this point, I do think about and draw and put in this big purple channel. So I drew this as a possible support, and then this as a possible resistance up here. But it's already too late for these setups. But I just wanted to point out that's how I got the purple. Kind of moves up. creates a new high, comes back down, first entry long, second entry long, there's no good key entry point. I mean, this is bad signal bar. Breaks out of the orange channel, comes back down. You have a new high here. It's a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but nothing down here tells me it's safe to take a long, even though you do see a second entry. I was thinking maybe there's a measured move here, but as you can see, the measured move was already exceeded. So I'm kind of in no man's land. I didn't really know what was going on, so I decided to just sit on my hands. Price then continue moving and oscillating. It creates a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Creates a second entry short. Here, it creates a lower high. Confirm lower high closes below. And I thought this was actually a possible trade because it confirms the second entry short and it moved one tick above this previous bar, then took everything back down to here, and then here definitely, stopped out a bunch of people that decided to go long. I think it has a failed second entry short because you do have a failure on the second entry short right here, but then it kind of comes back down, so it felt like a trap. But although it was a possible trade, I felt it was too late in the day to take this trade at this point, as well as I already got one trade and was profitable. I didn't want to risk and then be anxious trading for the last 20 minutes, hoping I'd get out of the trade successfully. So knowing that, I decided to just, not do anything and just let it go. But this was a possible trade. Had this happened earlier in the day, then there would have been more time to recover if I was wrong on the chart read, but it was feeling too late in the day. So then also if I had more wins, then I probably would have risked a little bit of the profit on this potential trade because the setup was okay, but not clean enough for me to want to take it. I also want to point out it was the top of a range or top of this, there's some kind of support or some kind of resistance to be respected here. So then, I already decided I wasn't going to take any more trades and just watch the rest of the chart kind of print through. And it hits the last 10 minutes as always. Well, not always, but as per usual, it creates a lot of volatility, but I definitely don't want to trade in the last 10 minutes because things get a little bit gnarly. And it just kind of moves into the close. So that's how I saw the charts today. There weren't too many setups. As I said, it felt a little trickier for me today. The price action wasn't necessarily difficult, but it was just like there was a lot of fake outs with a lot of little traps built in where it would go one tick above, or just the second entries wouldn't be a very solid second entry. It just looked like it would be kind of there and not kind of there. So hopefully that was helpful.